So here we are. Welcome to This Week in iPad. We're getting off to a little bit of a
little rocky start for This Week in iPad.
That's why we have Lon Harris with us today.
Yes, so. Clearly.
Because Lon is here to help us out.
The rocky start.
King of the rocky start.
So we're just going to go around the table here. I'm Mark Jeffrey, your host. I know you're not looking at me in the right camera, but with me is Jacob Birch.
Hello.
Lon Harris, because a Harris brother on a show is always a good idea. And Aaron Brazilian, who will be reading our news and joining us today. So,
that's exciting. This is your debut
awesome.
on the This Weekend
Network.
Network.
He was actually on last week.
No? Okay.
Yeah, he was on. I know you missed last week's episode.
I don't watch our shows.
Yeah. I had paper notes last week. This week I come up
there.
with
Hey, there we
go.
Yeah, so I actually, this is something else I printed out. It's actually not the same notes. But anyway, let's get right to it, since I think we got the, is this camera working now? Yes, good. All right.
Yes, good.
So let's get right into the stories. So the first story is Steve Jobs and his fatwa that he issued on Flash.
Yes.
So is everyone here, I assume everyone here has read it, or at least has heard about it today.
I have read it. I read it this morning.
So what do you think about it, Lon? What do you think's going on here?
You know, I mean, it's a little disingenuous. It's not that the points he's making are wrong. I think most of the things, you know, I'm not a technical whiz, so there may be issues that I'm not understanding, but it seems like most of the issues he's making is on point, but he's still trying to make it sound like he's just totally disinterested, and it's like, oh, we just thought, you know, it's just not, they haven't done a good job with security. He's trying to make it like he just made this decision, and it's not about millions and millions and millions of dollars, which is what we all know it's really about. It's like, Flash is all of these free games, all of these free videos, all of this massive amount of content that they want you to buy. And I mean, I thought his comment about the games specifically was really like, you'd have to be pretty gullible to go for this. Because he says like, well, there's tons of free games in the App Store, so you don't need Flash. And it's like, oh, come on, there's millions of awesome Flash games all over the web that people have been playing and loving for like a decade or more now.
Right.
And it's just so with a wave of his hand, like, well, you don't need those because you've got free games in the App Store. Meanwhile, most free games in the App Store are like the light version, so you play once and then it tells you pay $5 for this anyway. It's very disingenuous.
Well, let me ask you this. Most of the time, I mean, Steve Jobs rarely blogs, right? So he talks a lot.
Fake Steve Jobs.
Fake Jobs all the time. But real Steve Jobs rarely blogs. Why do you think he chose this moment? And, you know, is he feeling the heat from Flash? Is that it?
You know, there was an interesting theory this morning. I'll yield to you.
What do you think,
The
Jacob?
only thing I'd say is that the Droid Incredible came out today.
Oh,
interesting.
Just say, well, let me, you know, diss on Adobe, get all the attention back on me. The only thing I'd say, I don't disagree that there's a large scale disingenuousness to it. But at the same time, I agree in that I've never used Flash on a non-computer device, and even sometimes on my computer, and had it work and work to my satisfaction. So now if the Droid, I've heard the Droid Incredible gets it mostly right. It's a little little laggy, but once it works really, really well and Adobe figures it out, then Jobs will be pressed. Like, what are you going to do?
I mean, I feel like Flash itself has always been beset by bugginess.
Yeah.
His note about like Macs usually crash with Flash applications is dead on in my experience. Like most of the time when my browser crashes in my Mac, it's because
I would have to agree with that.
I'm trying to run a Flash program. So that's what I mean. Like, it's hard to really pick apart what he's saying. At the same time, I feel like his tone is very like, you know, as if he's really just being a sort of neutral third party, just making judgments about it. When it's like, no, you have billions of potential dollars to be made here by making this decision.
Right.
Obviously, that's really the bottom line, and all these other stuff are just like little sort of side arguments he's going to throw out there.
Okay.
The other thing I was going to say about why today was the Daily Show kicked his butt so much.
Oh, I did not see that. That was last night.
That was last night with Jon Stewart,
yet.
and that's not about Flash. That is 100% about this, like breaking in Jason Chen's door to look for iPhone prototypes or whatever. But I still feel like he's aware of the PR in that whole thing sort of turning on them. Once Jon Stewart goes after you, it's bad.
You know you've got a problem then.
Well, a whole audience that doesn't read tech blogs, but buys Apple products, watches The Daily Show. And so that, you know, that's a big thing to make. Like, Lauren Feldman can make all the videos he wants about making fun of Steve Jobs. Nobody cares.
Yeah, that's right.
But it's
not
a knock on Lauren Feldman, but, you know, he
right.
doesn't have that big of an audience. Jon Stewart has a massive audience, and he's very influential. People listen to him.
Okay. Well, we have I guess now 9 stories that Aaron has prepared. Before we go to that, though, I just want to go around the table real quickly. Any new apps that you have that are favorites this week?
Mine is very simple, not a lot to show. It's Stream to Me. It was featured on the App Store. I was looking. It feels like something that Apple's eventually going to just work into the iPad and the iPhone itself. But we can pull it up. basically, I hooked it up. I downloaded a free software on my computer that runs a server. My computer's called JPro. I gave it 2 folders to share, and really quickly I get a folder listing of it. None of these are on my iPad. They're all stored on my computer, and I can view them really quickly. So I only have the 16 gig version, so when I'm at home and I want to be able to watch any of the TV shows, any of the movies that I've downloaded or bought through the iTunes store work. And I'm going to actually take that back. I believe the protected iTunes DRM does block this application.
Yeah.
But anything that I've gotten, whether it be podcasts or music I've ripped from my CDs or DVDs that I've ripped, I can view here on my computer without syncing them over.
Cool.
So
Okay.
it's called Stream to Me. It's $2.
Nice. Okay, so here's mine. Mine's a little bit different. If you go to my screen now, mine is called Magic Window, and it's exactly what it sounds like. We're actually looking at. It's actually getting a little foggy in my Magic Window, but essentially they're movies of like outdoor scenes, almost like the Yule Log channel on television. So it's basically taking your iPad and turning it into just simply a scene. And there's actually, I have the sound down, but the sound comes up. You basically set this down on your desk, and it's like you have a little Magic Window. They have all different scenes. What I like about this again is that it's an experiential iPad-specific application, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't really make a lot of sense to have like a little tiny Magic Window on your iPhone or on your computer. I mean, I guess a screensaver, but it's just not quite the same thing. So I find this to be an interesting, this is an iPad native app in my view.
Yeah.
So I kind of like it. I really like this. How about you, Lon? Your first time on the show. What do you got?
It's my first time on the show, so I don't know which ones you guys have talked about. I mean, I love Plants vs. Zombies, that game.
Yep, we
I've been
covered
totally
that.
obsessed with it. The Marvel app, of course. IMDb, I was just showing to Aram. I don't know if you guys have looked at that one yet.
I have not yet.
I have not.
Beautiful interface on the IMDb app. I'm going to show it off.
I'll throw it over here. I'll put it
Oh,
up.
there you go.
Throw it up on this
So
camera.
this is the front page of IMDb.
Oops.
If you hold it landscape, it actually looks better,
Oh, okay,
I think.
so like this.
So like that, yeah, and then just pick a movie, and you'll see what the movie page looks like for that
All right,
film. So
so
yeah,
I'll
like
pick- it's
click.
complicated.
It's complicated. Just hit the movie. Oh, it
Go.
is. Yeah, there you go.
Oops. It won't
No?
come up for me.
Huh. That's
What am I
weird.
doing wrong?
I don't know.
My goodness. It's complicated. It is
It
complicated.
is complicated.
not
You can
complicated.
even go back to the main page of IMDb and just pick a movie, and it's just the way it lays it out is incredibly sort of
Try this.
intuitive.
Oh, there we
It's
go.
very pretty. So here you see The Godfather. If you scroll on either side, you get the whole cast list on the left. You get the whole.
Pretty much everything you own.
Oops.
You get the whole film, and then you can even like watch the trailers on the movie, and it comes up instantly. Yeah, you're looking at the Jimmy Caan profile
Right,
right now.
accidentally
So yeah, I
touched
mean,
it.
if you scroll down, you'll see like films he was in, trivia about him, like all the stuff you'd find on IMDb, and it's all on this one page, and it's more rabbit hole like than the IMDb site itself. I mean, you could just click
Wow.
around and just explore and get into different people and look at different movies, and I mean, it's really kind of all in one. And yeah, there's the Get Smart Film, and if you were to hit that play button right there, it would just pull up the trailer and start playing it right there on your iPad, like very quickly, especially if you got a good Wi-Fi connection like we have here. In the,
Which we may not.
but
anyway, I'm sure everyone's
there
seen
you
video
go. So
playing.
it's gonna start momentarily, and beautiful big screen picture. I mean, it's one of those apps that gets points not only for translating what you'd find on the site really easily and intuitively, but it's just very pretty and it's fun to navigate and it looks good. And I found that showing it off really helps to sort of highlight for people the unique sort of properties of the iPad, like visually. Like they get, it's not just sort of like a tablet computer. It's got these very sort of intuitive controls, and it's really laid out nicely. And it's what Apple does well. It's beautiful.
Well, we've had our iPads now for a couple weeks. The Steve Jobs reality distortion field is fading a little bit from our heads.
Only a little
Are we
bit.
still as in love with it a couple weeks later?
I'm the sort of it's what happened with my iPhone, where I was in love with it for 2 weeks, and then it just became part of me almost. It's just something you got used to. If I went without it and had to go back to using a laptop for a lot of what I'm using this for, along with my phone, it would just feel the awkwardness sets in. So that feeling of it being this new thing isn't going to set in until I have to not be with it for a week.
Got it.
I lost my phone for a few days due to a water incident, and it was just this horrible.
We'll cover that on another show.
What?
What were you were in the Treme or something?
It got dropped in a sink.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
But anyways, but it was without it for 3 days, and it was just like a lost feeling.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling it hasn't happened yet, but if I were to lose it or got a new one or anything like that, it would be a sad time.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay. All right, Aram, I don't want to keep you waiting any longer. Why don't you give us our first story?
Okay.
What do you
Well,
got
the
for us?
first story was the Steve Jobs letter, so we're going to just pass by that, eh?
Yeah, I think we've done that
Done.
one.
We nailed it.
Read an interesting story in CNET. They surveyed what people thought about Flash, and only 14% of people not interested in the iPad cited lack of Adobe Flash as the reason.
So in other words, people said, I don't care about the iPad, but only 14% said
It was because
there's
of
no
the Flash,
Flash.
right?
I mean, that's interesting though, because how many people out there are going to miss Flash and just don't know that that's what they're missing?
Well, this is CNET, so ostensibly,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, but I would guess it's more of a tech-savvy audience.
Yeah, perhaps.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they did
But,
it retail.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, if you ask people like, Hulu's not available, they might be like, oh, that really sucks. But if you ask
Yeah,
them, Flash is not available.
because it's plumbing.
Right.
It's not
They
something
don't-
we all know about,
I don't
but the
think of it
average
as a
person out
feature.
there.
It's like what makes certain features possible.
Right.
Anyway,
Yeah, I mean, if you're browsing to websites that are Flash, maybe you'll have a problem.
Yeah.
But,
Okay.
the first time you try to play that like topless volleyball game on E-Bombs World, and you can't. You're like, ah!
so the biggest reasons were lack of need and high price.
The lack of need.
High price
Yeah, high
strikes
price.
me as. I mean, it like I've really been enjoying it the last couple of weeks because I have a broken foot right now. I know you can't see under the table, but I can't get up from the couch easily.
Yeah.
So, you know, usually if there was something I wanted to check real quick, like I wanted to check Twitter or whatever, I could just go to my computer. It's right there in the same room.
Yeah.
But having it right there in front of me, and I don't have to get up, and I don't have to go find my phone. It's just right there.
Yeah.
Is awesome.
I find
so. That takes care of lack of need for me right there. Like if you're ever immobilized and you have one there, it's everything all in one.
But I wonder what the numbers. They got people that and said, oh, you're not interested, and oh, why not? Or here's 10 reasons. Check them off. If they got people who maybe were interested slightly, oh yeah, I'd like to have an iPad, but what factors would be you getting one? How much higher that percentage would go? Because so many people who don't want an iPad, especially if they're listing price, are just not gadgetly infused people. They're like,
Yeah.
who cares? And they're like, well, do you care about not having Flash? They're like, what the heck is Flash? Who cares?
Yeah.
So that was my thought on that. That the
Yeah,
number
I think
would
you're
be
right.
higher. That said, I don't miss it at all. I don't think. Hulu would be nice, but other than that,
Hulu is the one time where I was like,
but
it would be really sweet to
we're-
get Hulu on
We're a few
here.
weeks away, aren't we?
Yeah.
From having that.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
ha.
Well, just-
And the Netflix app does take care of a lot of that too. I mean,
Yeah.
it's gorgeous and it works perfectly.
So going back to your point, though, I find that Jason Calacanis asked a question on the first show. What do you think is the best feature of the iPad?
Right.
And we all had various things. I've changed mine. I think now the best feature of my iPad is my couch. For exactly what the reasons you cite. I don't get up and check my email anymore.
It's glorious. I mean,
I
it's
surf the web.
it's really amazing. I mean, the IMDb one is a great example. If I'm watching a movie, I
Yeah.
can just pick it up and start surfing, and it's nothing like a laptop. I mean, you have that. It's an interesting phenomenon where you have that, like if you had a DVD on your shelf.
Yep.
Of a movie, and you would never bother to take the DVD out, take the disc out, put it in, watch
Right.
it. But if that's on Netflix streaming or if
Yeah.
it comes on HBO, you'll watch it because it's right there. I feel the same exact way about the iPad. That there's a lot of applications and games and other fun little things that I would never go to my computer and sit down and open it up, or open my laptop and like click around and find it and open it up and start playing it. But if it's right there on my iPad, it's sitting right in front of me, I'll just do it. I won't even think about it.
So we've succeeded in taking the little exercise Americans still do away from them with
yeah,
the iPad.
it really does. I mean, you don't have to move.
I find that I'm
whichever.
forcing myself to use it.
Yeah.
Just because I've got this nice piece of hardware. And yeah, it is nice to have it on
You're
the couch.
forcing yourself to use it? Really?
A little bit. I mean, I'll be honest. If I feel important emails are to
I mean,
come
it's okay.
in.
We do encourage.
No, it's not.
No,
Get the hell out.
use.
I mean,
No.
I do keep it on the couch so I
Yeah.
can see the emails coming in, but arguably that might not be such a great thing to be that connected.
Yeah.
I know we all spend our days online, so this
Didn't those
is
guys in Wall-E have like these little pads?
They did, yes, they do. They're attached to their chairs, so they don't have to get out of the chair. But that's how they like order food and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Well,
Oh,
guess we're over.
I just thought of the most brilliant app ever. Remember Cosmo.com?
Yeah.
Where you could go online and order. It's like Pink Dot or whatever.
Yeah.
Imagine something like that on your iPad. So while you're serving, you could just be like, "I want muffins," and then a guy just brings me. Cosmo, what happened to you guys? They were just 10 years ahead of the
Coming back.
curve.
It's coming back.
We have a sort of going back to the Flash topic question from a user. The iPad, the iPhone movement, and the Apple movement against Flash, is it going to kill Flash? What is the shelf life of Adobe Flash?
Well, there's two things. There's two boots on Flash's throat. The first one is HTML5. The second
Yeah.
one is Steve.
Yeah.
So I think between those two boots, there's not a lot of oxygen left.
Yeah.
I think. It'll be a while, but I think yes. I think Adobe is in serious trouble right now, barring a strong move from them, which I can't think of what that strong move would be.
I can't either.
might be a death blow, but who's put Flash on a website in recent years? I'll be honest, it was Flash that first
there's
attracted
actually a lot
me
of
to.
people who have. I mean, YouTube is still like largely Flash.
Right, that's why you have to have a sort of an
for
app
video
for
players.
it.
I mean, actually, video players are probably the primary use case where.
And now they're getting around that
Flashes.
with the H.264.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, just in terms of web development, it was Flash that brought a lot of us on board in the late 90s. It's what attracted me to web development.
Yep.
But I haven't used Flash on a website in years because of JavaScript.
A lot of
and
the,
CSS.
a lot of the games inside of Facebook are Flash games. So that is,
I'm not a
I
gamer.
mean,
Yeah.
Farmville is Flash.
Yeah.
So whether I suppose they could rewrite it as HTML5 pretty easily, but
But it doesn't have the street credit that it used to have. Maybe outside of the gaming community.
I mean, I guess probably if something's going to save it, it's Facebook.
Yeah.
And Zynga and those companies might, may have an interest in, or maybe the savior. But other than that, I think it's got problems.
Well, it's just, I mean, what Jobs was saying in his sort of missive as well about it not the sort of unopen aspects of Flash, that it's really sort of proprietary, owned by Adobe. They update it sort of when they get around to it. And I mean, I feel like in general, the trend online is moving away from that.
Yeah, but isn't it a little bit like the pot calling the kettle black?
Oh, it totally. That's what I mean,
that's
when
what
I
struck me
said
about
that
that.
whole missive was disingenuous, because it's like, come on, if you're Steve Jobs.
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
do the exact
until
same
like
thing.
a year ago, every song I had on my iTunes was on total lockdown. So I
Yeah.
mean, it's a ridiculous argument coming from him, but it's still a valid argument, I think, on one level. And
Yeah.
I mean, I think. Other things like HTML5, which are more open and can be sort of updated by anyone and improved upon. There's definitely more of a future in that kind of technology than something like Flash, which basically is dependent on one company.
All right, Aaron, what do we got next?
I feel like sort of glossing over the next one, because most people watching this probably know that the 3G comes out tomorrow.
Nice.
Yes, 3G version of the iPad.
Get it at 5 p.m. If you
Already shipped
pre-ordered,
today, yeah.
if you pre-ordered before April 19th, you can pick it up tomorrow.
Or you can tether your iPad to your Android device. So I did a little bit of research on this, because I started wondering the other day whether I could tether my iPad to my iPhone, right, and thereby avoid the need for getting a 3G iPad.
Right.
I discovered that Steve Jobs has said emphatically on several occasions, no, you may not.
Yeah.
However, if you have a jailbroken Android device, you can. And I saw a couple little videos online, which I'll give the link to Roberta, and she'll post them up in the show notes afterwards, showing exactly how to do it. I could not confirm this before the show, but I believe you can actually use a jailbroken iPhone to do the same thing. I suspect that you probably can. I think it's a little bit easier to do on the Android device, which is kind of ironic, given though.
My question about the 3G iPad is it going to have the same negative effect on battery life that the 3G iPhone had? When I'm on the 3G network on my iPhone, it's like I get 20 minutes of usage out of it, and then it's done. I mean, traveling is like miserable with an iPhone, because you're in an airport. If it doesn't have free Wi-Fi, you're basically done by the time your flight is taking off.
Yeah.
Your
The battery
phone is
life,
useless.
yeah.
So the iPad, that's really one of the big selling points. Is I don't think I've recharged this in like 3 days.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
at
crazy
42%. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So is the 3G version going to be somewhere in between? Is it going to be as bad as the iPhone, where it's going to suck up all the juice immediately? That to me is like the biggest issue. I'd want to find that out before investing.
So did you guys hear about the guy who lost, what was it, 3/4 of his finger, 2/3 of his pinky?
Yeah, somebody ripped his finger off to get to his iPad. something
Denver,
like that.
59-year-old man was leaving the Apple store last week, and he got mugged, basically. A guy named Brandon grabbed his shopping bag, his finger got caught, and it tore off all the flesh to the bone. So the doctors had to amputate 2/3 of his finger, of his pinky. And I also
Which
read,
a guy then found and sold to Gizmodo, which I thought was really inappropriate.
And this guy Brandon also, I read on a different post that he broke the store salesman's jaw. He's being held on $200,000 bail. He's in court tomorrow.
It's a $600. I mean, it's not
It's
$6
just an
million.
iPad, come on.
It's a $600 device. It seems like a lot of work.
Yeah, I'm sure he didn't mean to do it.
Well, I'm sure he didn't.
I'm sure he did mean
but
to
it's still
do it.
like seems like purse snatching. Really, that's the fault more than anything of those bags, right? I mean, that's. Like,
Are you going to blame Apple for
I'm
this?
going to blame the Apple bag design. What bag that you're holding? If somebody grabs it, tears off your finger. That's just design
Poor
flaw.
design. So
Those
Steve.
like Bloomingdale's brown paper bags. It's never happened. Nobody's ever lost a hand.
It's the Apple Store
holding one
bags.
of those.
All right, what do we got next?
Apple bought Intrinsity, the chip
manufacturer.
maker.
Yeah.
The other chips go to 650. These hit 1,000 megahertz.
So much faster. So basically, they bought them for speed.
They're credited with developing the A4 chip for the iPad. They did it with Samsung, but now Apple's bought them, so Samsung will be out of the picture, and they're going to do it for the iPhone 4G.
So now, basically, I mean, I think some people made a big deal out of this story, and they said, like, oh, Apple's becoming a hardware company. Well, they are a hardware company.
They've been a hardware company.
I know, they've always been
years,
a hardware company. This is nothing new. This is, in fact, one of their, defining qualities is that they make the hardware and the software and the operating system, the full stack, top to bottom. So why shouldn't they own the chips?
It'll keep them ahead of the game. That way, they're ahead of their competitors if they buy the.
Well, when you can integrate all those things together perfectly, you can get efficiencies that you can't get in any other way.
And it's clear that's part of the business strategy is own it beginning to end. Like we
Also,
we design the device, we produce the device, we put all the software on the device.
You lock other people out too, because no one else can use that chip now.
Yeah.
So unlike the PCs back in the day, you can make your own. There's Dell, there's Compaq. Can't do that. No one will be using Apple. So it's a defensive move also.
Apple's the iPad camera connection kit is out, $29.
Now, what is that?
It's got two adapters, USB or the SD card.
It's a camera connector. So
yes,
tell me
you get
what
your
that is.
photos onto the iPad.
Oh, I see.
If you've got
so
a digital
an
camera, you
external
can hook it up and move your photos on. Yeah.
Yeah, and it'll take the RAW files from the big expensive cameras like the Nikons and the Canons, but what it will do is creates an optimized JPEG version of it, but it will still keep the RAW file intact.
Oh, okay.
So you can't do anything with it, but you can keep it as file storage.
It's for storage and display. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
In case you wanted a $600.
Did you want to show something?
No. I was playing around. I was loading my photos, but
You're playing around in the middle of the show.
I'm an amateur photographer, and it's been an absolute dream to be able to show my photography.
So you love this? Like you're waiting.
Yeah.
That's right.
I've been waiting for it.
You've been running around the Mahalo offices taking everyone's pictures.
Yeah,
People who don't know.
And then I have to go to my computer, import them, throw them in the iTunes, do this awkward thing where I have to sync the album. So to be able to just throw my SD card in there, put them right in, and then be able to display them here. Because the LCD screen on the back of a camera is ugly. You never really get a good idea of what you actually took is. So as a photographer, in your bag, you just have one of these. You shoot 1,000 photos, you upload them, you decide what you want to keep, and you move on. Maybe see what you need to retake.
So So once again, this is another application which is iPad native.
Yeah.
You couldn't really do this on an iPhone. It's too small.
Yeah.
I mean,
you don't get a good sense of what the photo's going to look like on this tiny.
You don't
screen.
really want to haul a laptop around while you're taking photos, but carrying this around is perfect.
And the transfer rate's not that much slower than a Mac. The guy that wrote the article said he had 4 gigs, and it took him about 7 minutes to transfer to the iPad, whereas it took about 5 minutes and change on the Mac. So it's relatively close speed-wise.
Yeah.
All right, you read about the emails targeting iPad owners, hackers sending out millions of emails claiming to be an iTunes update. The idea is to trick the people. It's the PC users. They click the link, takes them to an infected website.
PC users.
Right.
Oh, you PC
It's a
people.
more derogatory term.
All right, here's a good one, sort of local story. UCLA Sleep Disorders Center. They're saying that the iPads cause insomnia.
Really?
Because they're real bright. They're brighter and backlit. They're brighter than, say, the Kindle. And
You say versus the Kindle, they cause insomnia.
well, what they're saying is
I think it's just because people are staying up all night using them. That's why they cause insomnia.
I guess it's interfering with the ability to produce melatonin.
What?
Light in general,
Light,
even more so
yeah,
because it's close and it's bright.
UCs are big on this, where it's the light theory, where in fact, if you wanted to cure insomnia, it's much more about making sure you're getting special blinds that block out all light when it's 11 o'clock, and then open it up and shine light on you, and that getting more and more light when you are supposed to be getting tired artificially makes you more awake than you're supposed to be.
They haven't proven this. They're just saying it may cause.
So wait, so more light makes me not want to sleep.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, UCLA.
Especially they're saying like
The
the
painful
back,
elaboration of the
it's
obvious.
It's the brightness of the screen as opposed to other screens like your TV screen or a Nook or a Kindle.
Yeah, they
screen.
say it's more harmful than watching TV because the TV's across the room. So.
Anyway, next story.
Just have a glass of warm milk and enjoy yourself.
Yeah, I
It's a
take my
celebration.
iPad under the covers. So, what are you gonna do? You heard of the Apple iAd platform?
Yes.
I've heard of it, but I actually don't. So tell us a little bit about it. What is
Costs
it?
$1 million to get in if you're an advertiser. $10 million if you want to get in during the launch. And it's the ads on the apps.
Yep.
Apple takes 40%. The app maker takes 60%. Apple takes a cent every time a user sees it. Takes $2 every time they tap on the ad and make it larger.
So it's basically it's AdSense and AdWords in Apple's
Apple's
iPad,
environment.
yeah.
I guess the big story here is that it's 5 to 10 times as big as similar competing mobile ad platforms.
Right.
Which, I mean, makes sense. It's like, if can we? Yes. Then okay, we will. You can charge it.
So wait, so it cost me $1 million to get into the program?
Well, if you want to get in at the get-go, it's $10 million. Apple says they've got to use their own designers at the start, and eventually they're going to open it up with the SDK.
Good Lord. That's like the opposite of like how open Google stuff
It's like
is.
the Super Bowl of device ads, basically.
Advertisers can target users based on location only if the app already uses
Location.
Location,
Right, that makes
yeah.
sense.
And they're expecting the number of free apps to go up now that they're able to monetize
Yeah,
them with the
yeah,
ads.
that makes sense. Still, I'm still choking on that $1 million entry fee. That's just like,
That's a lot.
there's a lot.
Well, you got to.
But if you think about it, I mean, the size of the device alone, like you can make an ad that's so much bigger and more eye-catching for something like this than you could even most people's computer screens, let alone like an iPhone.
Yeah, and the design Gestapo over at Apple is going to control, but you have to use their designers too.
at first.
At first.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you get the
yeah.
ball. You get
They
the
say
ball
that
rolling.
now. Yeah, okay.
Israel lifted their ban on Sunday. There's still a limit, one iPad per person. The ones that were confiscated are being returned.
Per person.
What was
Now
the,
Oh,
Okay, so
what
yeah,
was
you
the
were,
reason?
so the story was
behind
in the
it?
review for the people who don't know. Israel apparently decided that the iPad was producing too strong of a signal for its Wi-Fi, and it basically was
Not
interfering.
meet EU standards.
Yes.
Ah, I see. Yeah.
So they basically confiscated them,
Not EU, but whatever.
and I guess now they've decided to reverse themselves.
Yeah, it says Apple's going to start taking international pre-orders on May 10th and plans to ship them out the end of May.
Yeah, okay.
So, if you're in Israel, you're not able to buy it quite yet anyhow, but...
Got it.
All right, and then I sort of threw this one in. It's more iPhone related, but I think it's going to go towards the iPad. Have you seen the app called Siri?
No, what's this?
It's really great. I downloaded it earlier. It's like a personal assistant app, so it's voice recognition. And you can say, where can I get some good sushi? It knows your location, and then it hits City Search, Yahoo Local, all the different sites. It'll pull in the content. And I was reading it was sort of their response to Google buying Aardvark.
Right.
This is Apple's move, and it was licensed from a company called Nuance. And, it's probably going to head over to the iPad pretty soon.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
Yeah, they were saying it's like kind of cool. Just you can basically just dictate orders to it, and it'll kind of just do what you want, and even like find apps for you that will help you do things that you want it to do or whatever. It's kind of cool.
Cool.
Okay, so that's it.
It's like
That's
your
it.
iPad
All right.
butler.
Well, we're almost at the half-hour mark. Any closing thoughts, gentlemen? Any other apps that you want to highlight, or?
I've been getting really into this.
Like you're pretty new to the iPad, aren't you? I mean, when did
Yes,
you get
I
yours?
got mine because I was out of the office because of my foot.
Yeah.
I only got mine last week, really. So I've only had a week to play around with it. For me, it's interesting because when I first heard about it, it seemed like kind of an all-in-one. Like there's business and productivity stuff, and there's entertainment stuff, and there's a little bit of everything. And I found so far that it's mostly for entertainment. I've been using it.
Yeah, I agree.
Almost exclusively just for fun
Yeah.
so far. I mean, email works pretty well on it, that's fine. And I downloaded that Dragon Dictation app, which you can just like speak
I
and
did
it's
the
voice
same thing.
recognition. And it actually works really well. Like Google Voice on the iPhone is comically terrible, where no matter what I say, it comes up with some bizarre, like it's translated into Mandarin and then back or whatever. But actually, so Dragon Dictation works pretty well, but I really haven't been finding that it's making me more productive as a sort of employee or for business purposes. It's really great I found this heads-up poker simulator that's really fun, and the Marvel app and Netflix and IMDb and Twitter, and it's great for that stuff. I don't necessarily know that I found a lot of compelling
One
uses
thing
for
that
it
I
outside
actually
of that.
got to use a couple of weeks ago is I bought Keynote, made a presentation. We do a meetup here once a month on the web framework Django. I made a 5-minute presentation. There's like 6 slides. Used another app, which Mr. Calacanis actually introduced me to, Mighty Meeting.
Mr. Calacanis.
Yes, Mr.
We're calling him Mr. now? Okay.
Got to move up
Master
in the world.
Calacanis.
But anyways, Mighty Meeting's a web service where you log in and you start a meeting, a presentation meeting anywhere, like a GoToMeeting or whatever it is. But the key thing here is they have an iPad app where you launch it, start a meeting, log in on a computer, and then I can control slide movement and slide motion on the iPad and have it change on the computer that's projecting. So I can be in the back, talking with people and giving a presentation that way, not touching the computer and moving the slides to and fro.
That's very nice.
And that was all really helpful. So I didn't have to sit at the computer and sort of awkwardly click forward, look up, answer questions. I was able to take the most strategic point, just have this in my hand and do
So
it that
the
way.
physicality of the device, once again, and the
Yeah.
mobility of the device
Yes.
being the feature. Yeah, interesting.
Still not that easy to hold.
Yeah.
Does anyone else's hands get tired holding this thing?
I'm
I
fine
mean, I
with
kind of
it.
prop it up all the time. I find when I'm reading it, something like on my lap like this.
I actually, I've been a big fan of holding it in
Yeah.
the palm of one hand,
Sort of like
and using it with the other
Socrates.
hand. Exactly like that. Yes, thank you.
you
No,
go.
like that's
We're doing
if
this
I-
with it.
If I'm playing a game or something.
And how come the apps don't have
Prop it up.
previews? I don't really like being forced to buy it and then find out if I like it. I bought an app that supposedly was going to let me track any cell phone, which I should have known.
Yeah.
So I bought it. I figured I'd track my girl's cell phone without her knowing, right?
Really?
It doesn't
Should we
work.
talk about this on the
I
air?
should have read the user reviews, and I'm only out a couple of bucks, but I don't know. I just wish there was previews. I could test it maybe before I buy it. And then what happens if you get an app that doesn't work? What if you get scammed by an app, so you report it, nothing happens?
Well, there
You're
are
still
a lot of apps that have the light version, so you can try it out and then experiment.
Yeah.
Like that Alice book they have.
Right.
Yeah, the Alice one.
version,
Yeah, we showed that at the first show.
Everybody downloaded that. I think everybody I've
fantastic.
seen who has an iPad has that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess that's it. We're at the half-hour mark. We have a couple other shows, obviously, on the This Weekend Network that we'd invite
a
you to check
few.
out.
Do
In case
you?
we do actually. We have 7 up and running now.
Yeah.
There will be some more coming up in the next few weeks. They can all be found at thisweekend.com. And that's it for This Week in iPad. I'm Mark Jeffrey, your host. We'll see you next time.